We now know what the feds found in Diddy's jail, kale, and let me tell you, it's so nasty that his lawyers tried their hardest to block it under some legal confidentiality bullcrap, and they actually succeeded. The judge ordered the feds to destroy the evidence and said it couldn't be used against Diddy. Well, that's part of the tea, and I'm going to break it down because why else do you think that same legal team has been working for his release for so long? Putting out a $50 million bond proposal that included private security, restricted communication, and even a house of circumstances? No, the prosecution wasn't having it, and they portrayed Diddy as a flight risk and a danger to witnesses, citing his wealth and power as tools he could use to manipulate the case. And based on what those same prosecutors discovered in his cell, he did just that. The crazy thing about Kale was that Diddy's legal team was caught in the act of failing in court when they saw the evidence that the prosecution had obtained. If they hadn't acted quickly to block it, the judge would have ordered the feds to burn it, which would have ruined Diddy's case right before hearing. When the third Bell hearing rolled around, the entire proceedings began to appear extremely suspicious. Judge Aaron Subbermanin, the man overseeing Diddy's case, raised eyebrows in the courtroom when he began discussing alternatives to keeping Diddy imprisoned. For example, it was alleged that the judge was being cordial with Diddy's attorneys, listening to them out, and even asking Diddy's team if they had a secure place in New York where he could stay under close observation. Began muttering things like, "Is this Judge Diddy's homie or what?" But listen, you all need to realize that prior to this Aaron guy, 2 other judges had already denied Diddy bail without much difficulty, and it wasn't that difficult. Diddy was regarded as a flight risk. The man had already called one witness 58 times in 7 days, and some witnesses were going Jane Doe because they were afraid of a man who was behind bars. A man in the feds' custody was discovered to still be powerful enough for them to search through his sales and discover a document with a list of goods that left them shot. It hasn't even been a month since the previous 2 judges denied bail for Diddy, so what changed and why was this judge? If you can see where my suspicions are coming from, then you're on the right track. However, let me do you one better and raise the stakes a little higher for you all. The list that the Fed found and Diddy sold came after the first 2 bells were denied, so those first 2 judges didn't even know that Diddy was spending demon time behind bars when they said, "No, this homie ain't straight enough for outdoor supervision," and that's why the streets are already claiming that Diddy's wealth speaks louder than the facts, but that is only a claim. Don't quote me, of course. Instead, let's take a look at what the feds discovered when they searched the cells at the Metropolitan Detention Center. They said it was a routine anti-violence measure to remove weapons and contraband. But somehow, during this routine search, they discovered 19 pages of handwritten notes in Diddy's cell and child. Those documents reportedly had enough drama to warrant a Netflix documentary. The papers included a to-do list that seemed innocent at first, but when combined with other findings, they raise questions about his plans behind bars. Once more, birthday cards appear innocuous at first glance, but watch for allusions to according. To prosecutors, this is where things start to get sticky. They allege that some of Diddy's notes discuss payments and efforts to dig up dirt on witnesses. Now he's done things like that before, so nothing shocking, right? Well, it gets worse. He allegedly had plans to influence the outcome of the case. The notes reportedly outline strategies to sway public opinion and manipulate the jury pool. Moments like these really show that Diddy wasn't just playing when he called his label bad boy. He meant every letter of that word. At this point, he's operating like a supervillain, an evil billionaire who knows exactly how to use his money. Because this isn't some casual to-do list, it's next-level stuff. And considering Diddy's media background, none of this should be too surprising. But it's the kind of potentially damning evidence that should make any judge pause and think, maybe this guy shouldn't see daylight unless it's through a prison window. But here's the twist, and I hate to admit it, it turns out the way prosecutors got their hands on that evidence may not have been entirely legal. It's not criminal per se, but it's also not the kind of material they can legally use in court. That's why Diddy's lawyers jumped on it. They argued that the documents the feds seized and gave to the prosecution were protected by attorney-client privilege, claiming they were part of his trial prep. Convenient, right? His legal team went further, accusing the government of playing dirty, peeking at confidential materials that revealed potential witnesses and defense strategies. According to them, the feds may have compromised the whole case by crossing that legal line, and that's where things got shady for me. You're telling me the CIA or whoever was involved didn't know this would blow up? It smells fishy on both sides of the courtroom. Are prosecutors, the feds, and Diddy's lawyers working together behind the scenes to sabotage this case and walk him free? I know it sounds like a conspiracy, but think about it. Why would the feds raid Diddy's cell, find potentially privileged materials, and then hand them over to prosecutors? And why would the prosecution use that evidence without notifying the defense first? To be fair, the prosecution claims they had independent government lawyers review the documents to make sure nothing privileged was used. That's their defense, but it still looks bad. It looks like Diddy might be pulling strings from behind bars, intimidating witnesses, influencing the jury pool, and now possibly manipulating both the prosecution and defense. If even some of this is true, then Diddy isn't just bold. He's out here playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. You can see the signs not only in the judge's cautious approach, but also in the aggressive stance of Diddy's legal team. His lead counsel was reportedly furious. He straight up accused the prosecution of a complete government failure, claiming the prosecutors now know exactly who the defense might call to the stand. They also accused the feds of using those materials to block Diddy's $50 million bail request and ruin his shot at a fair trial. You feel the confusion here? I know Diddy's been accused of a lot, but this situation isn't as complicated as they're trying to make it. It's a crime and punishment scenario, period. Unfortunately for the prosecution, it worked in Diddy's favor. The judge ordered the feds to destroy those documents and ruled that they couldn't be used as evidence. And maybe that's why the judge seems to be giving the defense a bit of leeway when it comes to the bail decision. Or maybe the court is trying to avoid major backlash, because if Diddy's team can prove that the feds violated attorney-client privilege, the whole case could fall apart. But here's the real kicker. If the judge lets Diddy out on bail, and those notes are as real as the prosecution claims, Diddy could be back to intimidating witnesses and tampering with the jury, if he isn't already. So what do you think? Did the feds cross the line with those raids, or was it fair game? And based on what was found, do you think Diddy will keep playing dirty if he gets released? Or is there a chance he'll finally play by the rules? Let me know in the comments.